Budgeting is a crucial skill for everyone, from college students to corporate CEOs. Because in business, having a plan is always better than hoping and praying that things work out. In this video, we are going to look at the different budgets that a manufacturing company puts together. All businesses should have a budget. This chapter focuses on the manufacturing process because it tends to be a little bit more complicated and there's more moving parts. So we're going to look at a manufacturing business starting with the sales budget, which then flows into the production budget, and that flows into the direct materials, labor, and overhead. So we're going to see how do we calculate how much stuff we need to buy and produce and manufacture. And it all starts with the sales budget. All right, so we have a sample problem up here. And the sales, Bright Light Manufacturing produces premium desk lamps, and they are preparing its master budget for the first half of the upcoming year. This all starts with the sales budget. So budgeting is not, it doesn't mean we know exactly what's going to happen. The sales data is our guess at what's going to happen. So we are expecting to sell 5,000 lamps the first quarter, and 6,000 the second, and 8,000 the third. All right, so let's just put together a sales budget here. Sales budgets are probably the easiest of all the ones that we're going to go through, but they are essential because it's our starting point. All right, so we're just going to do quarter one and quarter two. We do have the quarter three data because we're going to need that for quarter two. All right, so now we're just going to look at how many are we going to sell? And quarter one, we're going to sell 5,000. And quarter two, we're going to sell 6,000. And then we just say, all right, let's convert that to dollars. How much money are we going to get? So we'll say $50 each. For quarter one, that translates to $250,000. For quarter two, we're just going to, again, convert that to how much money are we going to get, and 6,000 times $50 is 300,000. So that's a total of $550,000. We usually put a total column here as well. So that would be 11,000 units times $50 each should equal the $550,000. So that's just adding up these two or doing the math this way. Doesn't matter really which way we do it. They should be the same. All right, so that is the sales budget, and that is the simplest one. But again, it is our starting spot, so we have to do it. All right, let's have that flow into the production budget. Now that we know how many units we are going to sell, now we can figure out how many we need to make. All right, so let's look at our production budget. And again, we're going to say, all right, let's start with quarter one. And we need to know how many we're going to sell. And that comes from the sales budget. So we're going to take the number from up here, and it's going to flow down here. So that's 5,000. However, we also might want a little leeway. So we usually say, how much do we want in ending inventory? So desired ending inventory. And we have that up here. It says management wants to maintain finished goods inventory equal to 10% of the next quarter's budgeted sales. So we look at next quarter sales and we say we want 10% on hand before the quarter even starts, which makes sense, right? We don't want to be scrambling at the beginning of the quarter because we're getting sales that we can't fulfill. So we're going to look at the next quarter and say, okay, we're going to be selling 6,000. We want 600 of those, or 10%, on hand at the end of quarter one. All right, so we need a total of 5,600 tablets during quarter one. We already might have some on hand though. So left over from last quarter. So at the end of last year, we had some left over in inventory. We had 500. So we'll subtract that, saying, all right, we need 5,600 total. We already have 500. And so that means we need to produce 5,100. Okay, so that's a great beginning to our production budget. Let's go into quarter two. Again, we are going to say, how much do we need? We need 6,000, so that's going to come from our sales budget. And our ending inventory, again, is 10% of the next quarter. And we were given that up here. We're planning on selling 8,000 during quarter three, so we know we need 800 on hand. So that means we need a total of 6,800. How much is going to be in our beginning inventory though? And that comes from our ending inventory from the last quarter. So that's how these things flow together. So we are going to, at least we're planning on having 600 left over at the end of quarter one. So we only need to produce 6,200 at the during quarter two. All right, so again, we can also put together a totals column here. That's 11,000. Our ending inventory, and this is where things could get a little tricky in the totals column. Our ending inventory is going to be the ending inventory of the entire budget. So we're saying 800 is the ending inventory of the whole budget. So we need, during the first two quarters, 11,800. The beginning inventory is going to be the beginning inventory from the very beginning of the time period. So that's this 500. So during the first two quarters of the year, we are going to need to produce 11,300. Now, if we did this right, the 5,100 plus the 6,200 equals 11,300, and our total column should also match that. So we can double check that. All right, so that's the sales and the production budget and how those two things fit together. From here, we can now use our production budget to figure out how much is it going to cost us to produce all of these lamps, and how much do we need to order in direct materials, how much are we going to have to pay our employees, and so on.